Good morning, folks. Welcome to the first session in our Connected Construction Workflow webinar series. Super excited to be joining you all today. My name is Eli Austin. I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. Today's topic is from Takeoff to ERP, connecting estimating with Stack. We know construction leaders are dealing with tighter margins, tighter schedules, and far too many disconnected tools. So this series is designed to show you how modern cloud solutions can eliminate silos and create a single source of truth from takeoff to close out. We'll start today with Joe Hassan from Empower Business Solutions. Empower has been helping companies modernize their systems for over 30 years. And as a certified Acumatica partner, they specialize in building connected, future-ready workflows. After that, we'll kick it over to Kendall and Jared from Stack. They'll walk us through a presentation and a live demo of their digital takeoff solution and show you how it integrates directly with job planning and ERP for seamless data flow. So with that, I'm super excited to introduce Joe Hassan. Joe, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for coming. And as Eli alluded to, this webinar series about what a modern construction company looks like. My background, my company has been in business, as Eli alluded to, for over 30 years. We've done hundreds of systems in the construction distribution industries. I had a CPA license. I was an accountant a long time ago until I started this company. I was worked in public accounting for a few years and went out and started putting Peachtree for anybody old enough to remember what Peachtree, which I believe it's now Sage 50. So today, the series is about modern construction company, what it looks like. What does a modern construction company look like today and going forward? And that's what this series is about. And it's about seamless coordination between estimating, project execution, and financials, tracking whether I'm making money on the job or not. Key traits of a modern construction company: they're data-driven decision-making, which means their data is as close to real time and they can access it via phone to see job profitability or other metrics about jobs and or specific jobs. But the companies are data driven. They make decisions. They're proactive, not reactive. Part of what Kendall's doing is the operational agility across the board. Do more with less. Put out more estimates is what Kendall is going to get into a little bit with her product or her solution. You have to be able to embed AI into your platform. If it can't be embedded in your platform, you don't have a modern system. You have integrated systems. You don't have silos. You have connected systems that all work together, bi-directional, and you have a single version of the truth. And you got to be able to scale. Today I do 10 jobs. Tomorrow I want to do 20. And the day after that, I want to do 30. So you have to have an ERP and a construction stack that will scale. Modern construction stack. Today, Kendall and Stack are going to show you their digital takeoff, pre-construction estimates. In the part of the series, we're going to get into JobPlanner, which is a Procore alternative. Acumatica Construction Edition will be part of the series. And unify payroll, which is payroll specifically for construction companies that do certified payroll, union reporting, all those specific things that are construction specific. How all the tools work together. Stack creates estimates, exports to JobPlanner, Acumatica. JobPlanner is your Procore alternative. Everybody in the construction industry has heard of Procore. To do scheduling work, tracking, all those out in the field type things, not back office type things. Lumberify, certified payroll, union reporting, and then Acumatica is the version of the truth. That's where you're keeping track of job profitability and overall company profitability in Acumatica Construction Edition. Benefits of integration. You eliminate data silos, as Eli alluded to. You need to have real time. If your data is not as close to real time as possible, you don't have a modern system. You need to improve field office collaboration, which we'll get into in another part of this series with JobPlanner and how it integrates back to Acumatica, but it's for out in the field and it's connected back to Acumatica in real time. And streamlined end-to-end project management. A lot of these customers are running QuickBooks. Are you still running QuickBooks? This sounds familiar. Export job cost data. Payroll isn't built for certified payroll. The field and office are never on the same page. We use 4 systems that don't talk to each other, unable to scale with growth. These are the typical things that we hear, not only from QuickBooks people, but folks that have legacy ERP construction packages. Some of the QuickBooks things, and again, it could be another system, job costings manual. Payroll, it's an add-on. You're not doing certified payroll in QuickBooks or union reporting. You're not managing change orders. You're not going to connect the field to the home office to QuickBooks. Your financial forecasting is not going to exist, and the workflows and whatnot that go with the system. Okay, hidden costs are sticking with QuickBooks, manual entry. No centralized visibility into job performance, compliance risks, inefficient billing and change order capture. All those things are the hidden costs of the QuickBooks. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to you, Kendall, and you guys can take it from here with the stack product that goes into the construction stack that we're doing these webinar series with. And thank you all.
Oops, was on mute for a second there. Hello, everyone. Super excited to be chatting with you guys today. Just verifying you can see my screen all right.
We got you.
Yep.
Great. So let's get started. What is Stack? We're super excited to be partnering with Acumatica and with the amazing Empowered team. We are Takeoff and Estimating. And that kind of entails 3 main product categories. You're going to have your quantity and material takeoffs, which then build your cost estimates and your proposals. We also have a plan, inspect, document management. So there's some really neat functionality with this. I've got Jared, our lead solutions engineer, on the call as well, who's going to walk you through what that kind of means, what the OCR scanner and auto naming, numbering, and linking your pages means for your business and the value that adds. One thing that really differentiates us is we're both Takeoff and Estimating. There are a lot of Takeoff softwares, a lot of people doing estimating in spreadsheets, but having your Takeoffs build your estimate is really what's going to eliminate so many silos, and then connecting it to your ERP makes you have one streamlined tech stack. So a little bit about Stack. We've got over 7,000 customers. We've been around for over a decade. We work across pretty much all trades. There are some exceptions for a few things, but for the most part, the interiors, roofing, site work, MEP, we work with general contractors, home builders, and we also work with building product suppliers. So we work with a lot of the Acumatica customer base, and we're a great fit for most trades. A lot of what we're hearing today, especially in certain verticals, is businesses are growing their revenue, but they have a decline in their profitability. So kind of worst case scenario. And you can track a lot of this back to material cost fluctuation, labor shortages, old tech that's not showing you where your business inefficiencies are. And Stack can help with a lot of this. Some of the benefits of Stack are we increase your efficiency. We give you real-time data access, so finance can see where the estimates are when they're in the estimating phase, which is something that finance teams do not have access today to in most organizations. We give you the ability to collaborate as a team, and all of this leads to cost reduction and scalability. So we're really happy and proud with kind of what we're doing. Before I hand it over to Jared, I'll touch on our Acumatica integration. It's super robust. It's bi-directional. We will bring over either opportunities if you have the CRM module or just projects, and we will send back your quantities, which is your item list, to a sales order or a sales quote. And then we push the entire estimate with all of its data back to a project quote in Acumatica. So we are super excited about this integration and this partnership. And, why don't we just show you what it looks like now?
Awesome. Before I get started, Kendall, can you verify that you see my entire screen in one moment?
You are good to go.
The rock, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So yeah, like Kendall mentioned, I'm going to be kind of giving us the little tour about what is Stack, some of the abilities to do within Stack, really following that flow she outlined, going into the document management, showing how we're going to take quantities, how we're going to capture that all in those set of plans, how we're going to add in that cost into each of our items, and then nicely tying that at the end to pushing all this valuable data into Acumatica. Something I always like to start when I'm at this homepage, there are several ways to begin a new project or create a new project. Again, situations arise, there may be different workflows. What you could do is just simply hit new project from the start. It's going to have a blank information on there and you're good to go. Other way to do it, you can also go down into the Acumatica little icon, the new icon, and either pull this from an existing project in Acumatica, or maybe even an opportunity. If you're doing maybe some more like service work, could be oriented that way, but you'll be able to pull them all directly from those systems. I'm also going to show you kind of the benefit when you do pull it from Acumatica, what that's also going to give you within Stack. But the last way from this standpoint is going to be basically taking any of these existing projects can be copied over, great for if you're doing, say, residential home building and it's the same unit over and over again, or even if it's a similar project to something that you've done in the past and you want to carry all that valuable data over, you can copy the project that brings everything over on there. So several ways to do that, but also looking at this homepage, some kind of honorable mentions is it is cloud-based. So really, wherever you're going to be able to have the internet access, you're able to view your estimating data. I always use the silly ongoing joke of you can even do it off of a cell phone if you have like a stylist. Is that the most optimal way? No, but nevertheless, in a bind, you're still able to see all this information. So really kind of giving that to all the users. Now, as you also go into your projects a little bit more granular, there's several ways I want to organize the project info. I can see that basically by either searching up the specific name of the project. I can also kind of filter off a lot of these fields where I'm saying, hey, if we have 10, 12 estimators, I may want to see just what I'm currently working on, so I can tag that option. And then the same principle is also going to apply over here on the statuses field. So you can see this little drop down that's available to us. Excuse me. So as I see on this list, a lot of available options that are basically out of the box, bidding, not one awarded, wherever you might need to. But you also see up in the top, you'll see the custom field. That's really to show it can be any sort of naming, grouping category that you all need to organize your estimates by. You can create it with just that custom view. It's just kind of a placeholder I put in there. But in today's example, we're going to look at all the jobs I'm currently working on and currently bidding, right? So you can see that I'm going to have my Acumatica project up in the top that I've already pulled over. We're going to reference this now and then also at the end. But basically, when I do pull a project from Acumatica, the nice thing is it's going to have a hyperlink embedded into Stack that'll be able to take you directly back into the project quote or that project opportunity that you have right here. So just real quickly, like to make that mention, but going into today's scenario, I have a brand new project that I pulled in or have here. Now, several different workflows that may come up depending upon what type of work you all perform today. If you're maybe in the roofing side, you're going to see a lot of benefit with this one. This is one of the first AIs we have, and what this is the roof AI. This will actually bring in the aerial imagery for us, and I actually even do a little bit of takeoff. So I'll show you what that looks like, and really easy just to pull that in our set of projects. Again, what that's going to help alleviate is the need to download, say, from Google Maps or something like that, download it on your system, then upload it into Stack. We're going to solve a lot of that and kind of help streamline that. Down in the bottom under these settings field, really what I want to draw the most attention to is these libraries. These are going to be all of those items, those assemblies you have today. Stack provides you an out-of-the-box library that you're able to leverage, use, markup, copy, really do whatever you need to. We also provide any regional cost databases like OneBuild or BNI. These work very similar to some more commonly that you've probably heard, like an RS means. These will provide either, depending on the database, either daily updates or even, I believe it's quarterly updates. Great thing with that side of things, especially with prices fluctuating up and down. We don't know what's going to happen next. Especially having daily updates is a big help on that front. Last one I want to really go into is this company library. Now, for a lot of companies, this is the one that they use. But what this allows us to do is basically give you that platform to upload all of your items into the system and then create whatever assemblies you might need to. They could be different databases for, say, region. You could do different databases for type of work you're performing, however you really need to organize that within the organization. But this is going to help be able to pull in all of your pricing, your information, your everything associated that you may be currently doing today. All right. So getting to a little bit more of the fun stuff that I like to say, in the time to go through the document and uploading plans. So what I'm going to do here is basically take in this set of drawings, this plan set that I have here, and I can upload these through Google, Dropbox, OneDrive, however you need to. If you have a zip folder or anything like that you may have gotten emailed, you can drag and drop that directly from here. I'm just going to choose a local file that is on my system, which is just going to be this single PDF we have here. And basically, I'm running it through what we call OCR. It's going to not only upload the plan into the drawing, but as you saw, it was one plan. Within that, it had multiple pages, and Stack will break out every one of those pages for you. And the neat thing is you'll see in the lower right-hand side, it's also auto-naming that both with the sheet number and the sheet title, right? Does a phenomenal job of finding this information. If it's ever taking a little too long, you can always force it to look for somewhere. But it does do, like you see right in the background, does a great job of picking all that data. The nice thing and the ripple effect of having, obviously, your sheet number is anywhere on the sheet pages that it may reference that, you're going to create or have these automatically created for you, hyperlinks to every field that you obviously have that sheet number aligned to. This is also great for if we get a set of plans in and say we're missing maybe the structural set of drawings or the mechanical side of drawings. It's a great way to quickly, easily see like, hey, I have every single other page in here except a field because it's missing that hyperlink there because there's nothing to reference on that field. Now, with the hyperlinks as well, it allows us to be able to create a pop-up. These pop-ups, you can either include it onto the ribbon in the background that you'll see. You can also say, well, this is a details page. This isn't, but in a case of, I want to see the details to it, and I want to constantly be able to reference this as I'm doing Takeoff, I'm going to say, create a new tab. Put this up here, and I'm going to bring this onto my second monitor where I can just quickly at a glance reference, go back and forth to be able to see the details to what we're actually taking off. All right. Now, the other thing to show in this process or in this field, especially when we're talking about the plan side of things, is the ability to go on your drawing and find whatever field you may be looking for. So, for instance, if I wanted to say foundation, right? And I want to say, go out and search for anything that might say foundation. So obviously it's going to show it in the plans over here of any titles that they're in. But the number that you're going to see over here is the number of times it's referenced that particular word or searched text that you're looking for. And as you see on the right-hand side as well, it's highlighting that on the page. So again, the use case for this is it's great to see, is this type of work we're doing? Is this not? Is this in our wheelhouse? Did I also miss anything when I went through and maybe counted if it's a foundation, maybe I counted my peers? Did I do all of that? Did I do all the takeoff everywhere? So it's just a great way to audit, check, and even get directly to where you last left off very quickly and highlights all of that crucial information. All right. So before I go into actual takeoff, I do want to go back into that aerial imagery that we mentioned earlier. So as you see here is the aerial imagery of that building that we uploaded into the system. You can see the scales automatically set. I don't have to do anything. And as well as on here, you can kind of see the shade of color, or if I toggle over to this takeoff, you can see it's labeled building 1, how big it is, the size of it, and it's performed that takeoff all automatically for me. Again, great for if we're doing any roofing contracting, residential, could even be commercial use like you're seeing here. Really multiple different scenarios on that. All right. So let's get into some quantities, some takeoff, and show you what that's gonna look like real quickly. So let me get into my floor plan 1 detail. On your floor plan, you're going to see over on the top left is a list of all of your items and assemblies. Now, a quick pause with those items and assemblies is items are the individual components that make up of whatever the overall assembly is. A use case would be this wall behind me, right? Well, I'm going to have my studs, my spacing, my number of floorboards. I'm going to have the sheets of drywall in there. Those all add up into one assembly that provides everyone the ability to do one takeoff, and it's going to drive 4, 5, 10, whatever the assembly is capable of, different units of measurement, all for us to then add in that cost, or even have that cost from our database automatically be in there. Going into the actual quantification, let me go down into here. We'll do a couple different ones. We can do concrete. So on the case of if I want to look at the slab or something like that, or I'm going to do slab on grade, right? I can also search the word so I don't have to go through it on the folder side. In this 2D area, we're just going to say, well, I'm going to measure my volume. So I want to obviously include what the depth is. So in here, I can put in the depth. You're going to see it's going to ask us a series of these questions. What's our waste? What's our productivity per hour? What's the finish grade per hour? And I'm just tossing in some fields just so we have them to be able to reference. And again, where's the drop down? What's our aggregate? I can select the different options based upon, the situation arises. What this is really doing is taking that wealth of knowledge that a senior or someone who's been around a lot longer estimator has done for many, many years, and made it into a structure or a calculation formula that makes it very easy for a junior person to pick up quickly, right? So filled out my entire assembly. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And something before I do, I want to kind of show you down here with our label side of things. Labels are a way we're going to also tag or repurpose all of our takeoff. What that gives the end user is when we go to the worksheet side, it gives that user the ability to filter out in several views very quickly. Now, in a label, you can create kind of a library. Like you see here, I have base bid, and underneath that base bid is going to be base estimate, our alt 1, option 1. There's change orders involved, just to kind of give you some examples. Another example could be, what floor is this currently on? So basically what I do is just add those in once. And then now while I go through my estimating, I can tag the different takeoffs to that particular label and just go through and click on the plans. And I know once I try to click on it, if I don't have a scale set, you do have the ability to go through this drop-down list, especially if it's common used items. If you might have seen that if you don't have a scale on your drawing, you can calibrate with 2 known points really quickly, like such as a doorway or something like that. But takeoff is pretty straightforward. We're going to go around the plans, clicking the points that we might need to on that particular slab, that area that you want to. Once you're done, you're going to double click and you're good to go. So really easy to just get those units of measurement pretty quickly, hit finish, and then I can go on to the next thing. So I'm going to go really quickly to the worksheet side, and then I'm going to come back and show you something else on this, this field. But now, pretending that we have all the quantities done, I can go into my estimate worksheet. This is where we're going to see all of that cost really apply to our takeoff. In the case of, here is that concrete slab that we just took off. Here's all of the different units of measurement it drove. Now, again, in my database, it's a demo database. I have a 0 value for a lot of these fields. You would either upload your own pricing into it, or you can go into your database and adjust it as needed to. But this would reflect whatever price takeoff quantity, that actual dollar and cents that you're going to be doing on each of those different items. Now, the neat thing as well is it looks very similar to Excel. Obviously, everyone knows that. It's the familiarity of Excel. But what Excel does great is it's flexible. What it lacks and one of its biggest weaknesses is it's too flexible, right? So in the case of something like this, you can still have that flexibility you're familiar with in Excel. I can overwrite those pricing that I have in my database. Maybe I've negotiated a better rate with a supply house, whatever the case might be. I can overwrite that, but I'm also going to see, if I get off that field real quickly, that I'm highlighting the differences, right? I'm bolding out, hey, you've overwritten this, right? Do you want to do that? Just quickly at a glance? Yeah, of course I want to do that. Or if I'm reviewing maybe someone else who's less experienced work, or just reviewing someone's work, I can easily see those little changes that they've done to that spreadsheet. So just really wanted to highlight that one out. We're going to go kind of back and then back and forth a little bit. I want to go into my plan drawings, show you something kind of neat where the direction really where Stack's heading. So let me get rid of this takeoff real quickly. And in this floor plan, right, the future of all of these conferences we've gone to and all the research is AI, right? How can we help everyone become more efficient, making them in turn just more profitable at the end of the day? With the AI button down here in this assist field, this is where it's going to leverage our floor plan AI. Again, the second AI we have in the system. And we're going to go ahead and say, do all of my doors, rooms, windows, walls, right? I don't want to do that. You go out and do that for me. The neat thing is it's doing that all in the background. So you could go to another plan. You could add in some different things, tweak them as you need to. You could go into it and also run it on another sheet. But as you see, it's really quickly with that updating or doing that takeoff. And on this, it's taken off all of those doors, windows, rooms, and walls. Now, I'm going to unhide or hide a lot of those features because I really want to draw attention to what did that actually do. That didn't just take off, just the rooms that you see, the big shiny green, but that also identified the differences between all of my interior walls and exterior walls. It also identified, is this a single door swing or are there double doors, right? It's identified all of that automatically. And then you can now assign these to the correct item or assembly that you may have in your drawings. All right. So I'm going to pull in as well from off screen and do a little switcheroo quickly. We're going to go to a project and a worksheet that has a little bit more data built out into it. So on here, we've switched over to the Staybridge project, and this is now assuming we've done all the takeoff on all the floors, plans, everything like that. And we're doing really that cost manipulation side of the estimating, right? I see all of the different assemblies, but those labels I had mentioned earlier, base fit, alternate, floors, all of those, where does that come back into play? And that comes back into these group by fields. So you can see here, I have a little bit more because again, it's more of a completed estimate, but something, let's take like that base bid that we used earlier. I could see and organize this estimate by show me all my base bid quantities, my alternates, and my change orders. And then as I need to kind of expand on what makes up all of those items, you can see I can expand on those, And then something like the joists, I can even go deeper to see what the cost is. So this is where we start to restructure, reorganize what you're looking at. And it's not going to take you eternity to do it on the fly as well. So if one-off, someone needs to see it a little bit differently, you can easily accommodate for that. The nice thing with a lot of these views, all of these views, if you go over to this view field, they can all be saved, right? So you're not having to go and create these and filters and hide these different fields. So something like a bill of materials, where all I want to show is just the material, obviously, we're going to be working with. I have that as a saved view, and I can quickly go into the bill of materials. Let me get rid of my measured quantities and my purchase price. I don't want to pull that into that. And I could be able to see, here is all my materials, here's all the purchase prices as well, and any notes that we might need to do. From this side, you could easily just export this out to Excel, send this to a supply house or whomever you need to from that standpoint. Okay. So same thing also will apply with like a labor views, but let me go back into that original view we had here. And one of the things that always comes up is love it. Love that I can go into this granular details. Where do I put profit? You know what I mean? We're a for-profit company. Basically, we want to make money. How am I going to add this in? And short as answer is down in this other cost. This is where you add in all sorts of additional costs that are around this project that you may not quantify on the worksheet. Easy one would be something like material markup, labor burden, insurances, profit, overheads, all of those are going to be tackled from here. And the nice thing is you can get very granular. So if we're doing this labor burden, I could say, is this going to be a percentage? Most often it will be, or it could be a lump sum. Maybe if it's something like the discounted field, what's the percentage going to be? And then where are we going to apply this? Now, again, several ways to go and granularly be able to apply those fields. If I want to just say, put it on all of my costs. If I want to say, like this type, I have my extended or my cost type, I can send, where am I going to apply this, right? I'm applying it just to my labor. You can do something like your material markup, obviously just going to be to your material side of things. So you can get really granular, but you can also, if I go down to like this material field, you can see I can do it on whatever sort of labor that I might need, or label, excuse me, that I might need to. Floor, building, room, wall, whatever it is. And then as we start to get to, excuse me, things like our profit, well, commonly, a lot of times, I'm going to want to bury my profit in my estimate, basically saying, distribute this value out into the entirety of the estimate. I don't want to have it as like a separate line item or something like that. Excuse me. And that's exactly what it's doing here. Just this little checkbox is saying, do I want to bear this into it, or do I want to show that price? And as you see, I can kind of scroll down into some of these line items here. As I toggle on and off that value, everything's getting updated in real time. You're not having to go through and then say spread in these columns. It's doing all of that for you on that side of things. All right. So again, really quickly on the takeoff, the estimating component, the last thing I want to kind of walk us through briefly is, this is fantastic. This is perfect here. This is everything we need to. How does this tie back into the Acumatica instance, right? How is this information going to get back there? So again, going to do a quick switcheroo with some of the tabs that I have open. And I'm going to go into this Hotel Marriott project that we looked at earlier, very briefly. And in this instance, I just have one single line item in here just to illustrate how we're going to push that data over. You can see I'm going to have my inventory non-stock ID number, or excuse me, my either stocked or non-stocked inventory ID number right there, the quantities, the cost code as well that we're going to be applying or pushing that to. Everything's perfect the way I need to. All you're doing is say export to Acumatica. And then like Kendall had shown you in that slide, where are we going to pushing this data to, right? Different scenarios call for different actions. Are we pushing this to a project quote, or are we maybe pushing this to like a sales order on that? Again, depending upon the situation arise, I'm going to, for now, push it into the project quote and say continue. From here, obviously, we're going to be required to have a task. Tasks could be something like your CSI. They could also be something like I'm going to have by my floor side of things, right? If you are going to tie the quote back to an existing project or opportunity, you can select from that opportunities list. If you just want to send it over as just a quote, well, you just basically see this export, you push it right out to it. In this case, I'm going to go into this security and hardware and say push. Now, when I do that, in the interest of time, I've already done a couple beforehand, you can see here is the list of all of the, under this opportunity, the quotes I've pushed over. Again, if we're doing something like negotiated bid and we want to kind of have more of an audit trail, this is great. Every time the bid is completed, you send it out to the upstream partner. You can log exactly what that is. They come back and say, hey, do it for 50 grand cheaper, 20 grand cheaper, whatever it is. Then you can send the revised quote after the fact. So again, just giving you kind of a log of all of that information. But as I expand on one that I've already pushed in the past, what you're going to see is here is those two different items, right? Same item number, but the difference here is going to be your labor groups and your material groups, right? You'll also notice right here is those cost codes that we've included. So all of that valuable information that you've captured in the estimating is seamlessly taken from Stack, pushed to Acumatica, and you're off to the races from here. And very, very last thing I'll show you before I turn it back over to the team is down here in those project tasks. I mentioned that we could push over with something like our floor or CSIs, however we have the task structure. And that's exactly what it's done here. It's captured all that information, pushed it over into Acumatica, so you're not having to export, import, hand key all of that in or anything like that. So, all right. Now I'm going to pass it back to the team because that's really everything I wanted to show today.
Awesome, Jared. Appreciate you, sir. I'm going to add in Kendall and Joe again just for a couple questions that came through. I know we sort of addressed one of these, which was about, you know, the AI and automation piece, evolving these workflows. So I know that we've talked a little bit about that. But on the flip side of this, Joe, this is sort of more for you, is, you know, going back to the QuickBooks piece, there's a lot of construction firms that are still sitting on QuickBooks. From your perspective, what's the biggest risk of staying on those tools as projects grow more complex?
Keeping profitability up, because if you don't have access to the information in real time, you can't make proactive decisions. And Kendall showed a slide about the companies are growing, but profitability is going down, which is what this whole series is about.
Absolutely. No, the other thing here is that they talk about adoption. Someone actually pushed in here is leaders who are hesitant to adopt new systems. What are some of the best practices to drive user adoption internally and ensure that these teams are actually using the tools?
Is that a question for me or Kendall or both?
I think it's, kind of a group throw out there, I feel like.
Adoption to me for 32 years has to come from the top down. If I'm going to buy you tools to use, would you not use those tools out in the field? So all these things, this Kendall's tool, it's a tool for an estimating department, and it has to be driven from the top down because the top down's making the investment. Why make the investment if you're not going to adopt and use the tools? And that goes back to training and all that as well.
Takeoff usually has pretty good adoption because there's not a replacement for doing takeoffs really any other way unless you're going to do it by hand these days. So usually we see very high adoption from our estimating team on the takeoff side. But to the point that Joe's making, if there's not top-down alignment on actually using Stack for estimating, people will rely on what they're comfortable with, which is spreadsheets. And that's one of the ways that connecting this with your ERP can help solve for that is we're now automatically pushing the estimate from one software to another. If you're using Excel and you're emailing that to your finance team, there's kind of that extra barrier or layer of check and balance to say, hey, I don't want to do this manual upload. Let's push it over. So adoption does come from top down. So yeah,
love it.
please go.
Well, I feel like that's kind of wrapped up. I think the only other question is here is if folks are interested in next steps. I know from the Empower side, it's really about setting up a, what we call a future ready technology review. Where are you today? Where are you trying to go? But from the Stack side, Jared, Kendall, is there something specific from a reach out if they're looking to get started or dig a little bit deeper? What's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, for sure. If you guys would like to contact us, you can send me an email. I don't know if you want to just include it at the end, but my email is just kcampbell@stackct.com. We would love to help you out. You can also create a free trial of Stack, so go test it out. I promise the team will be all over as soon as you click that button. But do send me an email. Let me know you came from this video so that we can make sure we're working with Eli and Joe to make you happy.
Love it. Well, I appreciate you all. Thank you for your time. To the Stack team, thank you for today's presentation and demo. It means a lot to bring us together. I think the biggest takeaway is clear. Connected workflows aren't just about a technology upgrade. It's about a smarter way of running your construction projects. So hope you found today's session valuable. Again, just a reminder, this is the first part in our 3-part series of the Connected Construction Workflow. Next week, we will be joined by Lumberfy to talk about how field data and payroll connect seamlessly into Acumatica's Construction Edition. So thank you again for joining us today. Recording of the session will be shared afterwards, and I'll be sure to include Kendall's contact information there as well. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, y'all.
All right. Thank you, Kendall and Jared.
Of course. Bye.